everybody. I'm Linda Pacini, and welcome to this broadcast. Thank you for accepting our invitation to come to our Radiance Live VIP edition. In this broadcast today, we've got a lot planned to help you to see features of a machine that maybe you've known about, but didn't probably take any time to figure out whether or not it's the greatest replacement for a machine that you already own. As a sewing enthusiast myself, I can tell you that I loved my Baby Lock Destiny. And when that machine was in its heyday, the idea of replacing it with another model was something that I just wasn't really that keen on. But when I saw the Baby Lock Solaris and all the different times that we've updated that machine, I have to tell you, over and over again, I was wowed by what we were able to do to enhance my love of sewing. The Baby Lock Radiance today represents the greatest possibilities in a sewing machine. And if you haven't really taken a look at what your machine can do versus what our new top-of-the-line machine can do, well, that's what we plan on talking about today. So thank you and welcome for joining us here. I want to talk to you about a few things that we have made available so that if you want, you can follow along with what we're doing. And so we have posted on a special page, which I'm going to share with you in a minute. We have some materials that you're going to find really beneficial. The first one I want to talk about is this comparison chart. So I probably mentioned, and you may have seen me before, I'm with Baby Lock's training and education team. And when we talk about training, we really talk about how we're helping our Baby Lock retailers. And if you are joining us from a retailer today, then I just know that you're in a great place to get your questions answered, maybe that we don't answer during the broadcast, but perhaps you are coming to us from your cell phone, maybe you're at a soccer game or whatever, but this material that we're going to be following along as a template is a great way for you to be able to start discerning what you already own with what we have in store for you with the Baby Lock Radiance. We know that there are features on a machine that truly set them apart from one another, whether it's the embroidery field size or some of the built-in software that comes with the machine. Those are the distinctions that you honestly really want to take a look at. So this page is more than just a single page. There's multiple pages, but what we did is we put some of the most impactful features on the very first page. And so we're going to invite you to follow along with us if you like. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is this is a printed out lookbook or a digital book that we did on the Baby Lock Radiance. And if you're on some of our mailing lists, maybe you've seen this. But again, if you're looking for some specs about the machine, or perhaps even what we have heard from a lot of people that own the product today, here's some wonderful testimonials inside that will really help you understand what other people have said about the product. It's not about what we say, it's about what you think about our product. And so there's wonderful information inside of this, along with some quick link QR codes to some of the projects that we created on the Radiance to help inspire you when you finally take that machine home. The other thing I want to talk to you about is that we've created what we call tips for success, and these are relevant to the Baby Lock Radiance. For somebody who likes to really get the most out of their machine, I know that oftentimes what happens is you might still be getting familiar with the features that you have on the product that you own. One of the hallmarks of our brand is that we think that Baby Lock is one of the easiest to use products out there. And what we try to do within our education department is make sure that you have the tools to be able to really understand how to coax the most out of the product that you purchase from us. And so these tip sheets, along with the other materials that I just showed you, are on the website that we're going to show right here on this page. And so if you just write down this URL, you'll be able to get to this site as well and follow along with us. Or maybe even after the broadcast, you can go refresh your memory about some of the features. And in fact, what you might find is that if you end up purchasing the Baby Lock Radiance, these are going to be the informational sheets that are going to help you achieve success with the machine. I will tell you that over the years, one of the things that I always talked about to people who were discerning product is that if you have a machine that you love, quite often you can use a software program that would kind of bridge the gap of what the newest model that we just introduced can do. But today, what I will tell you is that we have advanced our machines by light years. And so what you'll notice is that built within the Baby Lock Radiance are features that are so far advanced that you don't need a computer anymore. And for a lot of people, I know that that is a wonderful thing to know, that you don't have to have a computer, because sometimes it might feel like you have a little bit of a disconnect. So whether or not you are sitting at home or you're sitting in a retailer store, I do want to let you know that the program that we have today is going to introduce a few offers that we've never offered before. And so this event is going to be the ability for you to be able to get your hands on some incredible opportunities and bonus offers that are going to come with the Radiance purchase that is only going to be available for a limited time. So we do have a chat that's open on our broadcast, and so we welcome you to let us know where you're joining us from. We have people that'll be kind of monitoring the chat, so if you've got some questions, we'll try to answer them. But I hope that you know that we've got a wonderful Facebook page for our Radiance owners, where they have a community of their own, where they can really learn from one another, and we do interact on that site as well. There are going to be some prizes that we're going to give away midway during the event and also at the end, so you'll definitely want to stick around. And so joining me on the broadcast today are going to be my good friends, Patty, Marty, and Mike John. So let's say hi to Patty and Mike.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. Hey, everybody.
Yeah, so I know, Patty and Mike, that you guys have some machines behind you, and your plan is to show us a little something. So I'm going to leave it to you to show everybody what we've got going on, because I know we've got a great program in plan. So I'll see you at the end of the broadcast.
Thanks, Linda.
Linda. Yeah, so as you guys can tell, we have the opportunity here to set up all three of the machines that we are going to be talking about today. So we have the Destiny 2.
We have the Solaris Vision.
And then in the middle here, we have the Radiance. So our goal today is to be able to kind of discern the product for you guys. And it's also kind of, we've been talking about these three machines for the past week, and just what's different about them. What are some of the step up features, things like that, just so that we can actually wrap our heads around them, because we have owned all three of these and we've, trained on them, but, we just wanted to make sure we were brushed up on the different features. And so our goal is to be able to talk about these to you guys and kind of do it in a way where we were joking, like going car shopping or computer shopping, and you don't actually have to leave. If you're doing this from home, leave your home and you can kind of see what's different about the product.
Right, absolutely. And like Patty said, we actually own all three of these machines, right? And we still own all three of them. So we understand how it is to get attached to a machine. We understand how it is to get comfortable with the machine, but we also want to make sure that we're providing full information to show you what all of the benefits of stepping up from one machine to the next is. And you'll notice as we go through this today that you'll clearly see those step ups. You'll see that we're going to go from the Destiny to the Solaris to the Radiance, and you're going to see that technology advance. Now, if we look at the launch dates for these, right, our Destiny actually came out in 2014, right? So this is the Destiny 2, meaning that we had the Destiny 1 prior to this. And of course, you could update the Destiny 1 to be a Destiny 2.
There was 2 updates on that machine.
Correct. And then we followed that up by launching the Solaris in 2018. Now, the Solaris actually has upstepped 3 times. So there's upgrade kits 1, 2, and 3. If you had a Solaris 1 and you did all 3 of your upgrades, you wound up with the Solaris Vision, right? Correct. So, and then we just launched in 2024 the Radiance. Now, as of right now, there's no upgrades for the Radiance.
Correct.
So we're still at the base model of the Radiance, but you're going to see that as we talk about this, that even at the base model, huge jumps from one machine to the next.
Right. And that is one of the things that we love about our brand, is the fact that, as technology changes and as there's improvements in product, you guys do have the ability to upgrade the machine. So sometimes that's the hard part, is because you're like, oh my gosh, I have all of these amazing features. But as you guys know, whether you're looking at cars, computers, anything like that, there's always little improvements. You might get in a car that your friend has and go, oh my gosh, I never even knew that feature existed. And so that's what we're going to kind of be doing today, is showing you some of those things that you may not even know exist on the machine.
I still don't know what all the buttons in my car do, but that's okay. I know all the buttons on the machine, but not the car. But yeah. So what we'll start off with is we're going to walk you through this kind of in a sequence, right? We're going to talk about it first, going from just the physicality of the machine and the actual user interface of the machine, talking about the differences there. Then we'll move into probably what most people are loving the most on their machines is embroidery, right? So we'll talk about how it differs between the 3 levels of machine for embroidery. Then we're going to talk about IQ Designer, one of our favorite areas of the machine. We play with that quite a bit, and we'll talk about the differences there. Then we're going to move over to points of placement. Now, points of placement is such an amazing topic because that's one of the areas where advancement really shows off quite a bit, right? And then we'll wrap up talking about sewing and quilting. So as we get started, let's talk about just the physicalities of the machines, right? So on the Destiny, big machine.
Right. Oh, and again, all of these have been top of the line machines. So all of these are amazing machines. And so with the Destiny, looking at it and things like that, obviously it's the smallest of the 3. It also has, as far as embroidery field, this one has a 9.5 by 14-inch embroidery field. So that also means that the throat space of the machine is a little bit smaller. And then as we moved up to the Solaris, we went into our 10 5/8 by 16-inch embroidery field.
Yeah, so that 10 5/8, we're getting up to the hoops that are just gargantuan, right? We're really getting into those big hoops. But then as we step into the Radiance, now we're really getting into, because we're going up to 11 5/8 by 18 1/4. Now, I'm a big guy, and I can literally step through this hoop.
He can't step through this hoop.
Which is crazy.
And that's why I took it off, just so you could really get an idea of the size of it. Because even one of the things, too, that you'll notice is that the embroidery carriage on the arm on all 3 of these, you'll notice that there's a step-up difference as we move from the Destiny to the Solaris all the way up to the Radiance. And what that does for the machines is it not only allows the machines to be quieter, run smoother, there's also the ability for it to accommodate these larger hoops and even some of the magnetic hoops that are also available and optional.
Yeah, and when we went up to that 11 5/8 by 18 1/4 on the Radiance, one of the things that we actually added to the machine itself is we have a support table that attaches to the back of the machine. And this is actually going to hold on to the back of your largest hoops. And I leave it on all the time.
I leave it on all the time too. It's almost like a mini extension table on the machine.
Yeah. And it's easy to put on, right? It's just a little clamp on the back. You'll notice it has a couple of latches that go in. It slides in.
There's markings on the
machine. Will say that it does have legs. Make sure you lower the legs. It's not going to stand out there by itself. But the nice thing is if you're not using it, it is flat pack. So you can stick it away, have it out of the thing. But I leave this on all the time. Even when I'm sewing, I leave this on because, like you said, it's like an extension table for my machine. I love that. So
while we're kind of talking about the embroidery field, one of the things, too, that's improved from the Destiny up to the Solaris and now even further with the Radiance is the hoop styles. So on our standard, I'm going to grab this real quick so you guys can kind of see on the Destiny hoop, when you hoop it, obviously you've got your great markings and everything like that on the hoop, but it has this screw attachment.
Tension
screw just to be able to tighten your fabric and things like that.
When we go up to the 10 5/8 by 16, if you look down at the bottom now, I still have that same tension screw, but now we've introduced actually a tensioning latch. So the way that this works is now I'm going to actually hoop with it still being fairly loose. And then that last thing that I'm going to do is close that latch. That's going to put the tension onto the hoop itself. And because these are getting so large, that's very important because one of the things we see people doing every now and then is actually over tightening the hoops. And this helps us not do that.
And that latch style is also available on the 10 5/8 by 10 5/8 inch hoop too, which is a hoop that comes with the Solaris Vision, or you may have acquired that over an upgrade or different things like that.
It's one of my favorite hoops, actually.
I know, we use it all the time. And this one is the new 11 1/4 by
11 5/8 by 18 1/4.
18 1/4. So I got those mixed up. But the thing that you'll notice here is we still have that same latching system here on the bottom, but we also have it here on the top. So again, it kind of gives you that equal tensioning of your fabric, which is really important, especially when you're using a large hoop like this. But the other thing that's really pretty amazing is that up here at the top, rather than the two hoops just kind of pressing together, there's actually a little lip at the very top. It might be kind of challenging to see, but there's actually a spot where this top part of the inner hoop actually hinges into the external frame of the hoop. And then that way, it keeps things from popping out.
Right.
And so that's a really nice thing, especially when you get into these larger hoops, because that's something you don't want to have to contend with, is something popping out of the hoop.
But if it does pop out of the hoop, we're not worried about it, because we have wonderful placement tools, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. That'll help you with that, because I know we all do it, right?
Yep.
We all have something pop out of the hoop eventually.
Yes.
And I think it's kind of like one of those trials you have to go through as an embroiderer. You have to be able to rehoop something after it pops out. But with that larger hoop and that specialty kind of hinge tight technique, you're not going to see it very often.
It just gives you confidence to have something in that big of a hoop and not have to worry about that at all.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about some of the other things just externally that we want to kind of talk about. One of the things too is the screens.
Yeah.
So the screens, you'll notice, are a little different, similar in size, but this screen here, we were pulling out all the different styluses and ways that you can actually connect to to access the screen. On the Destiny, it actually is going to use this little kind of gray stylus that comes with the machine. So you would use that to navigate on the screen. You do also have a sensor pen over here on the side that you can use also as a stylus. And then you could use a wired mouse on this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so this screen on the Destiny is going to be a pressure sensitive screen, right? So this is going to reply to actual pressure on the screen itself. Once we move up to the Solaris family of machines, we're now on what's called a touched capacitive screen. What that means is that it's no longer how hard you push, right? And we see people when they first went from the Destiny over to the Solaris, they're just like pushing really hard. You don't have to do that. And that's one of the wonderful things about it. It literally is capacitive. So your actual connectivity of your skin against the screen is what's actually being recognized, not the pressure. So we've changed the styluses on this. So now I have what's called a dual purpose stylus. This actually is going to have a little wire mesh nib on one side. This will be the side that we use to navigate through the screen. Down at the other end, we're actually introducing something new. This is actually a little light, and we're going to use this along with our projector to actually do some of our editing, some of our moving around, things like that on the screen. So that's new into the actual Solaris. Now with the Solaris Vision, we also launched a secondary stylus. And that's because when we look at the touch capacitive stylus on the dual purpose stylus, this is a little fat, right? It's a little bit chunky.
Yeah. It's like a big crayon.
It is like a big crayon, right? Well, when we're over in IQ Designer, one of the things that we found that we really liked was having something that was a little bit more precise, because when we were on the Destiny with the pressure sensitive, the tip is very small, right? So we could get into really good details. Introducing this new type of stylus, we have the same thing here on the Solaris. Now, the cool thing is once we move up to the Radiance, these two kind of get put into one stylus, right? So we kind of lose the fat tip of the stylus, and now we have the small tip on the dual purpose stylus.
Right. So this is great. It's a combination of the dual purpose stylus. So again, you still have that part that's going to work with the projector, that you need that part of it to be able to connect to the projector. But then you also are going to have that stylus that we all love from the Solaris Vision.
And just one little tip from us to you: don't pull that plastic off.
Yeah, don't pull the plastic
There's a little plastic disc on the end there. That's to protect your screen from getting scratched. So that actually belongs on there. Don't pull that off. We had a few people do that.
And a lot of us have with the Solaris and even with the Destiny, you can use that wired mouse.
Yes.
One of the step ups with the Radiance is you can go to a wireless mouse. So you would still need one that has a USB connector that you would put into one of the USB ports, and then that will allow you to use that mouse.
Yeah, and one of the things that we always tell people about the mice is if you're going to use a mouse, it really needs to be a very simplistic mouse, right? Don't go out and buy a gaming mouse or something that has a lot of extra buttons and clickers and things like that on it. It just needs to have a left click, a right click, and that's pretty much it, right? So you can see the ones we're using are actually just very basic. Cheapos, right? They're not even that expensive.
Yeah, but this one here is actually the wireless mouse, so you can use this to navigate on the screen and things like that.
And I love using a mouse.
Yes.
One of my favorites.
So again, kind of back to the size and things like that, we set these up intentionally just so we could also kind of show you that the beauty box, the accessory box that comes with these machines has evolved over the course of time too. And that might seem like not a big deal,
it's a big
but
deal.
It is a big deal. So for those of you guys out there that are our Destiny owners, sometimes this was the Lissimo Gold style as well as the Destiny style, and it has a little locking system on the top. As long as you line up your baby lock with the word Destiny on the front, it's easy to remove that. If I unlock it, it's easy to remove that, and then you would get it lined back up, and then you would lock it back in place. As we moved to the Solaris, we introduced a new style.
So this is a hinged box. So our beauty box now is just, we pull the 2 silver tabs to the sides, and as we pull this back, you'll see that it opens up and you have all of your storage in here. Now the storage on these are amazing because really and truly all of the feet that come with the machine, and there's quite a few. So our least amount is 12.
16, I think it was like 16, 17, and 17.
Something like that, yeah. So there's a lot of feet here. There's also, if you look in front of the machines, you'll see some features that we're going to be talking about here shortly. Those are specialty feet, and they actually fit in here as well. So a lot of people don't realize that they fit in here too, because as these pull up, you'll see there's storage below. Now, one thing that people don't realize also is when we're in the sewing table mode, we can actually pick up one of our feet caddies and they'll fit down into the sewing table itself. So if you wanted to have it to where you didn't have to rely on going in and out of your beauty box, and you just wanted the feet in the actual sewing table itself, you can do that.
And I always love the fact that on all of these, if you have everything snapped in, you should be able to turn it over, and that will eliminate you from having to. No, we're not doing that because nothing is all snapped in. It will keep everything from falling out. But then the Radiance has that same style too. It also has that hinged one. So speaking of hinge,
let's talk about the needle plates, or let's talk about the lids first.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the lids first. So if you guys have, if any of you are Destiny owners, to open the lid, which you need to open the lid obviously when you're rethreading the machine, winding a bobbin, that sort of thing. If I open up the lid here, the only way that I can attach the thread stand or be able to have storage, I do have a little storage area over here, but my lid does stay open, so for the most of the time you're probably threading your machine and then closing the lid. And so you have a little storage area here, but when we introduced the Solaris, we actually made an improvement.
Yeah, so on the Solaris and the Radiance, what you're going to notice is these are lay flat lids. So we actually do not have to take the lid off to put our thread stand on. So the thread stand for the Destiny, which you have in your hand now, we have to take the lid off completely.
And it's easy to do.
It is, very simple. But those actually lay down into the connection points for the actual lid. Whereas on the Radiance and the Solaris, both of these have our vertical thread spool stand. So I'm going to take and open this up. You notice it is a flat pack, just like everything else. We think about storage with this. And then my telescoped antenna comes up, raises. I lift my 2 spool stand holders. And then the nice thing about this is it fits back here on my lid. My lid is magnetized, and so is my vertical spool stand. So this is not going to fall off on me. It's actually attached to the machine. When I'm ready to put it up, I just simply pick it up, and then I can lay it flat and store it again. So this is the same on both the Radiance and the Solaris.
Correct. And the lids still do come off, but it is nice to have that additional storage. We joke because if you give us an extra space, we're just going to fill it, right? So mine is usually covered up with bobbins and thread and things like that. So you do have again, that space on the side where you can store things. And there actually is a small improvement here where they've added a little groove there in the top. So that's where your stylus can go. So you've got a stylus holder rather than having it on the side of the machine. Which is
because if you look at the Destiny, we actually have our sensor pen and our hard stylus can both fit into the side pocket here on the side. I also have one on the side of the Solaris. We know it's hard to see because of the angle of the machines. But then whenever I go into the Radiance, there's nothing on the side of the Radiance at all. It's a clear, smooth outer shell. And then I can put that stylus up in that top area and store it up there.
So while we have these lids open, let's talk about some of the amazing features. Again, across the board, we have independent bobbin winders on all these machines. So great to be able to pre-wind your bobbins, but it also means that you can be winding a bobbin while you're embroidering or winding a bobbin while you're doing sewing. So it has that capability on all 3 of the machines. So we love that. And it's all marked. All of our thread paths are marked either with a dashed line or a solid line. So you know that you can either wind your bobbin or thread your machine, which is the marked path for it. The thing on the, as we move up from the Destiny to the Solaris, one of the improvements that was added is now there's a little lever that you can adjust the dial. So you can adjust the fullness of your bobbin. So maybe you don't need a full bobbin. You're just finishing up a project and you just need a little bit on there. You can adjust that. There's 5 different settings. And that has also carried up to the Radiance. But the Radiance also has one other additional feature here on the bobbin winder. It's that little silver disc there that allows you to get additional thread on the bobbin. So
it's
the
like
fullest
10%
bobbin.
10% more spool thread on the spool itself. If you're using the
class 15 bobbins.
No, the finishing touch thread. Yes. So, and finishing touch thread is the thread that actually comes with your machine. That is our bobbin thread.
Mm-hmm.
That's what your machine is set up with and tested with. So that's actually included in your machine when you get that.
And we did go ahead and leave the little, this is just a little thing again. You do get a 3-in-1 screwdriver, which is amazing. Helps you with a lot of things. This one is gray. That one is gray. When we go to the Radiance, it's just a different color. It's black. But this does kind of tie into what you were starting to talk about before, which is going to be the fact that we do have a different bobbin plate on these machines. Now, these machines all come with our standard combination sewing and embroidery bobbin plate, but then you also have a straight stitch bobbin plate on all of them, and they're censored. So your machine knows if you have them on. So that's a nice thing to know, that them can't mess up because you've got sensors on those and they won't let you do something that you shouldn't do.
It physically grays out the stitch if it doesn't work with the plate you have on.
So on the Destiny, you actually have 2 little screws. So if you take those out, you just need to make sure that you know where those are and you don't lose them. But as we moved up to the Solaris and up to the Radiance, we introduced a new type of a latch system.
So these are quick release latches that are done on our needle plates. Now I'm going to do something you're not supposed to do, so do not do this in real life. This is us doing it on stage. But one of the things I can do is I can actually just pull forward on this, and you'll notice that it releases my needle plate. What that allows me to do is I can change that needle plate without having to go look for my screwdriver, without having to battle with screws or anything. Now you'll notice, because I did the no-no and I actually took it off while the machine was still on, I got a sad face message, right? That's just saying, hey, don't do that, right? So if you're going to change your needle plates from your embroidery unit, from your standard plate to your straight stitch plate, make sure you have your machine turned off. And the reason for that is there's sensors, like you mentioned, that actually recognize what plate's on there. And by doing it with the powered on, you can mess up those sensors. So don't do that in real life. Make sure you turn it off.
Yes, our technicians and your technicians will love you for that.
Yeah, my technicians probably just panicked when they do that.
And then I say, lastly, when we're kind of talking about the exterior, one of the last things that we kind of had as a note to show is that on the Destiny, it has this white shiny plastic, but as you move up to the Solaris and to the Radiance, they've added a frosted coating onto the embroidery arm, onto the bed of the machine, and also onto the accessory table that you can use if you go into sewing. And so all of that just helps from any hoop scars or anything like that, because of the vibration of embroidery. Sometimes it will leave a little mark, like on the Destiny. Mine looks a little haggard because I use it all the time, but that's something that they've made an improvement in.
And there are rub strips on the backs of the hoops themselves as well, so that's going to help kind of contain that as well. But overall, when you're looking at the footprints of the machine, it's really easy to see how we're going from really good machine, oh, this is getting even better, wow, right? We're kind of moving up that whole kind of chain of events on the machines themselves. So when we talk about the machines and we talk about, did we hit everything on?
I think auto resume is the only thing that
auto resume, that's a big one, right? Auto resume. So one of the things that happens a lot is you can be in the middle of a design, and as you're in the middle of a design, have you ever had one of those designs that wants to stitch for like 8 hours and you're like, I don't have 8 hours, right? So you start, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and you decide to start a new project, right? It gets to be about 2, you're like, I got to turn this off. You can literally just turn the machine off, and once you come back to the machine, it will go through the startup cycle of recalibrating the hoop, which is always a good thing because that means that your hoop's going to be exactly where it needs to be every single time. But what it's going to do is, as soon as it goes through the calibration of the hoop, it's going to ask you if you want to recall the pattern that you were previously working on. And not only will it take you back to that pattern, it'll take you back to the stitch that you stopped on. Now, that's on all 3 of these machines, but we've actually increased that to where now we actually have auto resume inside of IQ Designer.
Right, and that's on the Radiance and
the Solaris, right? So that's a big plus. We don't have that inside of the Destiny.
Right.
So on the Destiny, if you have to stop in the middle, well, save your work and come back to it, right?
Yeah, or if the power goes out. That's probably the most common thing. The power goes out and you're like, oh, I was in the middle of embroidering. You know, it is nice, even as you're designing things in IQ Designer on the Solaris or the Radiance, if for some reason the power goes out, you know, your machine gets, the power cord comes out, whatever the case may be. When you go back in the next time you go into IQ Designer, it'll say, hey, do you want to go ahead and resume where you were? So that's great. Because sometimes we spend a lot of time and effort when we're in IQ Designer creating stuff.
And that's a big deal because IQ is not stitching yet. Right. You're just in artwork. You're designing in artwork. So
and we always tell people save often, but it is still good to have that as a backup as well. It is.
And then one of the other things that we need to talk about is our hoop move key, because as we've gotten up into these bigger hoops, one of the things that some of our consumers have kind of asked us is, hey, what happens if I'm in that upper left-hand corner?
Especially with those magnetic hoops.
Yeah, and I need to go in and maybe I need to change the bobbin. I ran out of bobbin, or I need to get in there and trim an applique or something like that. Well, one of the features has actually been added in, and we have hoop move in the Destiny and in the Solaris, but now up on the Radiance, we have hoop move a whole lot more places in the machine.
Right.
So they're kind of limited in the Destiny, maybe one more place in the Solaris, and then in the Radiance is on pretty much every screen. So if you're in a situation to where you need to actually move that hoop, you can do that. And it actually kind of recenters the hoop off to the side. So you can pull that hoop out of the way and you can get to what you need.
And I feel like that's kind of a multi-needle feature that
we've
both got used to on our ventures and that sort of thing, but now it's translated over here. And it does really, help when you get in those situations with those magnetic hoops and you're trying to get around those magnets, especially on the larger V-shaped ones.
Well, before we jump into embroidery, one of the things I really want to make time to talk about really quick is the wireless technology on these machines, right? So when we introduced the Destiny, wireless technology was still fairly new. It was something that we saw in our everyday lives already through cell phones and things like that, but you weren't really seeing it on home machines, things like this, right? So our Destiny does not have a wireless feature in it. So it actually is, you have to use USBs or SD cards, and that's how we get our designs into the machine itself. But when we launched into the Solaris, we actually introduced Wi-Fi. So that actually was a big step. Right.
And that's kind of evolved too over the different upgrades and things like that, what all is available on it too. And we've also have a couple apps that you can utilize as well. So we have our IQ monitoring and our IQ positioning apps. So those help you with, it's like having a baby monitor in your home, right? So that is a great feature. I use it all the time because it is nice just to be able to start your embroidery, go to another area in your house and you can watch how your embroidery is doing. It'll tell you if your thread breaks or if you need to, when you're ready to change your colors and things like that. So we love that.
And one of the biggest features for the wireless that I love and that I probably use on a daily basis is wirelessly transferring my designs to my machine, right? I don't know about you guys, but USBs, those things drive me nuts because I never can find an empty one. Right. Or if I find one, it has stuff on it that I can't delete because, one day in my next life, I'm going to come back to that file. But I have to find that empty one to be able to use. Now that we have that wireless transfer, which, by the way, you can do two different ways. You can actually do it through our free program, which is called our Design Database Transfer Program. That's downloadable for any Windows computer. You can go in and you can download any file over to your machine, send it over, and it shows up beautifully. The other way that you can do it is through our digitizing software, so Palette 11. So Linda mentioned earlier in her intro that it used to be that software was kind of the levelizing, or it kind of leveled the playing field. Well, software still has a place, definitely, right? I'm a big digitizer. I love to digitize, but it's so much fun to be able to sit there and be over at the table on your computer and just magically have 10 designs show up on your machine without having to find a USB. So both of those are available. The palette would be a purchase, of course, but the Design Database Transfer Program is free.
And then one of the other things that the Wi-Fi allows somebody to do is, in addition to being able to transfer, use the apps, is now if there's an update to the machine, you can set your machine up so that it knows that it's connected to the Wi-Fi and it knows that there's an update available to you. And then it'll help you to load that update onto your machine wirelessly. And then that allows you to update your machine.
Yeah. So, and there's actually visual cues for that. If Jim or Leslie were able to kind of zoom in here on the Wi-Fi symbol on our Radiance, you'll actually notice that the Wi-Fi symbol has a blue kind of exclamation mark on it. And that was actually left on there so you guys could see this, because what that means is we've got an update sitting out here waiting for this to actually be installed on this machine. So at this point, all we would have to do is go in and say, hey, let's just install it.
Right.
And the install is actually very simple, very easy. It's just literally turning the machine off, turning it back on, holding a button down, and it does it for you.
Right. And it walks you through that, right? These machines are easy to use. It walks you through all the steps of it so that you can easily take care of that and do that.
Yeah. Now, one of the questions we do get sometimes about the Wi-Fi is it desired to do the Wi-Fi update, or is it desired to do the USB update? It really depends on where you live and your USB or your Wi-Fi connection. If your connection is strong, go for it. Do wireless. I do wireless all the time. Don't have any issue with it. But I also live in a major metropolitan area with great Wi-Fi. You live out in the country and you have kind of spotty. Might still be a good idea to go through USB, just because you don't want to have it hiccup on you.
Right. And on occasion too, we've had a really large update to the machine.
Yeah.
And we will say, hey, make sure that you do that using USB.
And even we do those
right,
at that point.
exactly,
Yeah, absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
And all those instructions and everything like that are available for you out on babylock.com. So it walks you through all of it as
and
well.
not only did you mentioned the 2 apps, we have that IQ Intuition Monitoring app, which is like the baby monitor.
Yep.
But the IQ Intuition Positioning app, we'll talk about a little bit more when we get over to the positioning, but we'll also talk about that when we get into IQ Designer when we're on the Radiance, because it plays a role in that as well.
Correct. And just one other thing too, I know you talked about the touch capacitive screen and things like that. One thing too, just to mention, is that as we moved to the Radiance, one of the things that they did is move to a different platform. So we're actually using a Google platform for that. And so we're just kind of tapping into the capabilities of what that is going to allow us to do with the machine. So it still works with the apps and things like that. You still have that touch capacitive screen like you talked about and things like that. But that is something too that, everything was rewritten from the Solaris up to the Radiance. So, we're excited to see where that could go in the future.
One of the other things that we should say about this too is Baby Lock, Linda mentioned ease of use, right? And I'm a big fan of pointing that out, because ease of use is such a magical thing, because once I learn a machine, I actually know all of the stuff that was on that machine moving up to the next machine, right? We don't generally take things away, we add. So once you learn a feature on the Destiny, that feature is going to fly up to the Solaris, up to the Radiance. And that's even true with the icons. Now, there are a couple of icons that changed with the Radiance. That's because we went to the universal icon mapping. So it's just to make it more familiar. We're on our phones all the time. We're on our tablets all the time. So now we've kind of made those kind of jive with those features so that you kind of see them. So the biggest one you can see on our screens now is the actual settings menu is a little different, because it's a page,
piece of paper with the page turned down.
And it's a page here, and then up on the Radiance, it's a gear. So little things like that. Nothing for the
trash can instead of the word delete and things like that, and like memory and stuff like that. Those are changed a little bit.
Absolutely.
So some other things too that, again, Mike said ease of use is a hallmark of our brand. The other thing too is the fact that, we do try to give you as much help as possible. So all 3 of these machines are going to still have are going to have some video help, whether some of these are built in. So the Solaris and the Destiny actually have the videos on your machine itself. The Radiance actually takes you off. It gives you a QR code and takes you off to a landing page that you can go watch those videos, which honestly is great, because then I can be watching my videos while I'm doing things actually on my machine or on the screen and things like that. So it'll actually take you out to a landing page. The manuals, there's manuals available for all of these. Some of them are on the machine, which I personally like that, because as things are updated to the machine, it also updates the manual. And you have searchability, a searchable PDF that you can get. The Destiny came with the printed manuals. These have them where they're available for you to download. Again, that's something that it's nice to keep it current. It's nice that you can go out and search things, and then you don't have to have a big manual sitting around that's just your weight in your sewing room.
That's out of date the minute you have an update. Yeah, exactly. But it's still nice that it's all there. And then as you mentioned,
those are really full of information.
They are.
That's what we keep saying too. Like a lot of times the stuff that we show people on the Radiance and things like that is stuff that's actually in the manual. So there's a lot of good information in there to go refer to.
Or if you're a member of the Facebook group, one of the things you may be familiar with is a lot of times we'll screenshot the manual and show you exactly where it's in the manual. Not because we're trying to be smart or anything, but just because we're trying to give you that resource to make sure that, if my explanation, because Patty and I can explain something one way and then turn around and have somebody else explain it, you may understand the other person's explanation versus ours. So we always want to make sure you have the resources to get all the information you need.
And then we also have a huge library of SOED video content. So that's something, and we're going to talk more later on when we talk about the offer, about some other educational opportunities for the Radiance and things like that. But one other thing that I just kind of caught on we have a little list here, things so we don't forget anything for you guys, is the tool tips. So one of the things too that we created as part of our training and education team was we have icon charts is what we had for the Destiny. We created them for the Solaris. So we kept those up to date so that you knew what all the icons were. Granted, they were in the manual, but it was just a nice document to have them all together. And we've been asked, are we going to create them for the Radiance? Well, we don't necessarily have to, because the Radiance has an amazing feature built in, and it's called tooltips.
So if you look at the screen right now, you'll see I have my cursor on my mouse kind of hovering over the machine help icon. And right underneath it, it pops up and says machine help. So that's a way for us to know exactly what we're looking at when we go through that.
And so that's a great thing. And if you use the mouse, it'll automatically kind of pop up as you hover. If not, if you just hold down with your finger, then it will actually show up as well. So It looks like
somebody's fixing to win something,
yes.
I think. So we're going to take a quick little break from talking on our end. And, you know, Linda, I think if I remember correctly, we're giving away some pretty cool thing here. And you're going to kind of host that over on the other side of the room for us.
She's inventing more.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, so Patty and Mike, I'm falling in love with the Radiance more and more as you're talking about features that honestly you have to really live in it in order to realize the advancements that we've gone through. So yeah, this is a perfect time for us to take a little bit of a break. We've got a door prize that we had you guys all sign up to get your name in the drawing. I want to invite Julie Getz on with me. So, hey, Julie.
Hi, Linda.
So if you guys have watched anything from us before, you'll know that Julie is the brand marketing manager for Baby Lock. We work very closely with one another, and we're excited about this broadcast.
Yeah, super excited. It's been great so far. I hope everyone's learning a lot.
Yeah, so I think that because we had such a great response that we know a lot of people are really interested in seeing what that Radiance can do. And so we have, as a way of just keeping you super interested, we're giving away a door prize. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we're giving away?
Yeah, I'd love to. So we are giving away a Riccar R65 vacuum. Riccar is one of our sister brands, and this is one of our most popular cordless stick vacuums. So it's a great addition to your sewing room to help suck up all those little thread pieces, fabric pieces, and even some of the crumbs from your sewing snacks, and vacuum your whole house too. So.
Yeah, I actually have this unit at home and we use it every day. We've got a dog. Promise you, the lucky winner that gets us is going to love having this in their sewing room. So do you want to go ahead and do our drawing, please?
All right, let's see who we have. Our lucky winner is Joyce Bike. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Joyce. We're so happy for you. And so you will be contacted by Julie and team, and we're going to get your information so we can get that shipped out to you right away. So thank you, Julie. I know we've got one more drawing at the end of the broadcast, so we'll see you again soon. All right, so without delay, let's go back to Patty and Mike.
All right,
Miss Joyce, I'll give you my address. So once you get your vacuum, you can come up and help me keep the floor a little bit clean.
Yeah,
it's a great vacuum. We have it too.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
We had to vacuum the set before you guys all got to see it. So.
Yeah, for that major rug.
For the major rug, yes.
So we're gonna like flip the script a little bit now.
So we're not gonna
flip out. We're not gonna flip out. I might flip out, but we're gonna flip the script a little bit. We're gonna go off of the convenience features and things like that. We're gonna move into one of the neighborhoods of the machine. We're gonna move into the embroidery side of the machine. Now, all three of these machines are what we call combination machines. They're our top of the line machines, which means that they both sew and embroider.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I'm going to say right off the bat is whenever you have a combination machine, make sure you're using all sides of the machine, right? You don't want to just favor one side of the machine because these are closed oil systems. We don't ask you to oil your machines, and I think that's pretty incredible in and of itself. So using both sides of the machine is going to keep it in great working order throughout the life of the machine, which is very long-lived.
Right.
Very long-lived.
Right. And so when we talk about embroidery, there's a lot of different specialty designs that really is what's going to differentiate the machines. As far as like the ease of use we talked about, we're going to talk about some of the icons and things like that. But a lot of these machines share similarities as far as like how you can resize your designs with stitch recalculation, how you can move things, group things together, and all sorts of different rotation, different things like that. But what we want to kind of highlight with you guys in this broadcast is the thing that kind of differentiates these three machines. So when we start with the Destiny, obviously the Destiny has tons of built-in designs, lettering, large lettering, all those sorts of things that we find across the board on our machines. But when we go into embroidery, one of the areas that you're going to see that is unique to the Destiny is the fact that it has bobbin work design. So embroidery, bobbin work design. So the Destiny actually comes with an extra bobbin case that are not included with the Solaris or the Radiance. It's an optional purchase for those machines, but it's a bobbin case, and it uses that to basically put your heavier or your thicker threads in wound it on a bobbin. That goes into the bobbin case so that it's tensioned, so that when you stitch out a Bobbin Works design, you actually stitch it upside down, which seems kind of crazy, but when you get done, you can flip that over and it pulled that thread up to the top.
Yeah, and Bobbin Works is really cool. And I think whenever we were in the Destiny world, and Destiny was our top of the line machine at the time, we loved it. It was the thing that we were all about. And like you said, we can still do bobbin work on our machines.
And you can do with sewing.
Yeah, but we just have to do it. It's not actually included on the machine right off the bat. You just have to add it too. But what happened was Bobbin Works is kind of the precursor to couching. And couching, we take that hoop and flip it back over to the right side. And now we're actually going in and we're actually putting textured embellishments on top of our embroidery. So most of the time that's done with yarn or heavier thread, heavier macrame thread, things like that, that are smaller crochet thread. So we introduced that in Upgrade Kit 1 for the Solaris was where we first introduced that. Now, Patty, we have some stuff down on the thing that you've actually created that actually have some of that. So over here we have the...
Yeah, here, I'll grab one of them just so you guys can kind of see it a little better.
Yeah, and this so cool.
Yeah, so this kind of shows you the texture of it. So the Bobbin Works designs for the Destiny were basically converted over to the original couching collection that's on the Solaris. Right. And then we, over the course of time, added a fill alphabet. So these are all actually, believe it or not, done using letters. So letters, symbols, things like that. So, and this was combined with IQ Designer. So all of this embroidery was done in IQ Designer and then just embellished on top with the letter O and a C and an apostrophe and things like that. So a lot of fun.
And then this one is actually just straight up the letters, right? And then you can see Patty actually came in and added one of the built-in embroidery designs that's in the machine, kind of representing the O in home. So just by actually using what's in the machine, that's what's so impressive about this. This is not going to software, not going into palette, not going into anything like that. This is all done on the machine. So everything that you're showing here, now we lost Patty to couching for both of the launches of our machine. So if you get into it, you may find that it becomes a little bit addictive, but it's such a cool technique because it's tactile.
Yeah, you got to show them the purse because this is the one that I still need to write instructions for because everyone has asked. This is actually all done with yarn couching, and this is the letter I. And it takes, again, advantage of a feature that's in all three of these machines, which is the ability to use the border or the repeat key. So I took that letter, repeated it, and was able to actually even resequence things so that I could get it to stitch in a proper order, which is a kind of a step-up thing with the Solaris. But was able to hoop this and stitch this out and make a fun bag. And it's
your
all
9 to 5
just
bag.
My 9 to 5 bags because it's 4 hours on the front, 4 hours on the back. So total takes 8 hours.
And we should say this is variegated yarn.
Yeah, it is variegated yarn.
She's not changing the yarn every 5 seconds, right? This is variegated yarn.
A lot of fun, though.
Really
cool.
A lot of fun. Yeah, absolutely. So we love the couching and we love the evolution from Bobbin Works up to couching. And now we have couching on both the Solaris family of machines as well as the Radiance machines. And we also have couching on the sewing side. But we've got that on all 3 machines, okay? Now, one thing that did change with the couching when we launched the Radiance is when we had couching on the Destiny, it was only on the sewing side, right? So you could only do it on the sewing side. Over on the Solaris, we actually had it on both sides. And when you do couching, one of the things that you're going to take advantage of is that vertical spool stand. We would have the vertical spool stand actually attached to the top of our machine, and then our yarn will actually flow through. You're still going to have your machine threaded with regular embroidery thread, but then you're going to flow through with the yarn. To do that, you're going to have to actually guide that yarn through the machine and through a specialty foot. The foot's called the Y foot. We've got it over, I think Patty has it in her hand. But we have a couching guide for both embroidery. So this was our embroidery couching guide. And then we had a separate couching guide for sewing. So you had to kind of use whichever one was appropriate for what you were doing on the machine. Right. When we get to the Solaris, we changed that.
The Radiance, yeah.
I mean, the Radiance,
that's okay. When we get to the Radiance, yes, we now have one. So they've taken that, combined it into one tool. So because this is a different body style, easily able to do that. And then that way you can use it. So again, I love that. Just one less thing that you get to lose in your sewing room.
Ease of use.
Yes, ease of use. This is that Y foot that Mike is talking about. So this is used for the yarn couching, whether it's on the Solaris or on the Radiance. It's the same foot. And so it does have a little pigtail that helps you to manage, along with the thread guide to manage your yarn. Because in this case, instead of it coming from the bottom, like you said, you're actually introducing the yarn on top. And so the yarn is actually getting stitched on as it's creating the embroidery couching.
Yeah, so you have 40 what we call free and open designs in both machines, and then you have a full alphabet in both machines. So wonderful, wonderful things that you can do there as far as the yarn couching goes. Now, as far as specialty categories, that's our specialty category for the Destiny was our bobbin work. When we come back up to the Solaris family of machines, you'll have to forgive me, I'm laughing. We have 2 camera guys back here and they keep pointing at machines going, which one are you looking at? But when we get up to the Solaris, we actually have several more categories of specialty type stitches. So one of them is actually right behind me here, and this is our large pattern connect designs. Now, if you were paying attention when you were looking at Linda, there was one on the wall behind her. So the next time we go back to her, you can look and see that there's one over there. But then we also have this one. in the Solaris, we have a total of 5.
Mhm.
When we go up to the Radiance, we have a total of 7. Now, each one of these designs are stitched with 3 hoopings. But here's the really cool thing about it is I don't have to line them up. My machine lines everything up for me using the camera and positioning stickers. And what is really, really cool about this is it's using a feature called pattern connectivity. Now, pattern connectivity, we actually introduced way back with the Elissimo Gold, and that has kind of stayed with our machines. And it's such a cool feature to use, but it's one that a lot of people don't know about. And basically what it does is lets us connect one design to another using our positioning stickers and our cameras, and we don't have to worry about it at all. But once we got up to the actual Solaris family of machines, we added a kind of a new feature to that. And what it does is when you do the first stitch out and it reads the positioning stickers after it stitches it out, which is how it works, when it goes to attach the next piece, it will resize that next piece to make sure it matches perfectly to the first piece. So if you look through here, it's kind of hard to find the sections.
Right. Right.
So.
And those are amazing. And they're again, Mike has stitched out several of them. I've stitched out several of them. They are amazing. And the other thing that's really nice about them is, you know, we're stitching them, we're showing them to you just stitched out on some large fabric and then stretched on a canvas.
Right.
I've done them on some benches and bench pillows and things like that as well. There are templates available too that are out on the babylock.com website for both the Radiance and the Solaris. You can download templates, which is nice because if you wanted to put it like in the middle of a tablecloth or on the back of a jacket, you can easily do that too with those templates. But it's pretty amazing. And I love the fact that it's a feature that's been in our machines, like you said, all the way back to the Elissimo Gold. But sometimes it's like, well, how do you use that? That's a perfect example of making something bigger than your hoop can take.
But in this case, it's actually automated into the machine for these essentially. Now, one other thing that actually got added to our machines as we kind of went up through this line of machines that takes advantage of that pattern connectivity is our quilting, right?
Yeah.
So we have edge-to-edge quilting that is in our machines, and we actually have what's called our enhanced quilt border feature. And this is actually using our alignment tools as well. So on the table here, we've got a small little quilt that has edge-to-edge built into it. And then on the outside edge there in the green gingham, you'll see that there is a border feature on there. So what's really cool about this is that was kind of introduced when we first launched the Solaris. We started out with just the border feature.
Right.
And it was a very, I don't want to say simple, but it was a very simplified version of the border feature.
It was basically like a pattern connect border. So it took it, the most it could split it into was 4 hoopings.
Yep.
So you really did only have, you use the positioning stickers. So it was a little bit more challenging to do. It's almost like you could make a giant frame.
Yeah.
And then as we moved into the first upgrade, we added the ability to be able to put in some measurements. So you can go up to a king size quilt, put in measurements, and what it'll do, it does all the quilt math for you. Mm-hmm. So it'll actually take a border that you select and you choose, and there's single color, there's 2 color,
1 color, 2 color,
and there's a hexagon. So you can even do them like on a little hexy table runner and things like that.
So those 60-degree quilt rulers that are so popular.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've got those options, and it's great because you put in the measurements, you choose the design that you want to use, and then it splits it and it walks you through step by step by step. So it's pretty slick, and it uses the projector to help you to connect everything together. Yeah. So the edge to edge was something that we added on the Solaris Vision, and that's carried over to the Radiance, and that allows somebody to do, again, up to a king size quilt, all with embroidery, where the machine's going to do all the math for you.
Yeah, and one thing that I'll say when we're talking about this, I know I'm walking off screen really quick, but one of the things that was introduced when we got up to our Solaris family of machines and the Radiance is we started actually introducing the magnetic hoops. And I will not do the edge-to-edge or the enhanced quilt border without using a magnetic hoop because you're rehooping quite a bit. And this to me is such a simple way to go in and make sure that not only am I able to do it easily, I'm able to do it accurately, right? So we have several sizes of these. We have 2 different styles. One style you have now.
We'll show you the other one a little later in the broadcast.
But this one actually has independent magnets. So if I wanted to pull these off, I'm not trying to restructure the whole top of the hoop
and
at
it's
once.
Nice too because you can really like smooth your fabric out as you're placing the magnets on.
Yeah, so when I'm doing this, I'm actually taking and just kind of coming over like this and smoothing it out. And there actually is, if you're worried about grip strength on this, it does come with a little tool that rocks these off, and it's actually really cool to pull off.
And so that comes into, there's a 10 by 10, and then there's that's an 8 by 12.
Yes, this one is.
And then there's also a smaller or another version, like Mike was saying, that's more of like a flat magnet. But again, it's independent magnets. but that comes in a 5x7, and it also comes in like a 7x12.
7x12, I believe. Yeah, absolutely.
Double check that with your retailer. But I will say those two, the other two that we mentioned, the 5x7 and the smaller one, would work on the Destiny.
Right.
But those larger ones will only work on the Solaris and the Radiance.
Yeah. And there's a lot of safety built into these because they actually are recognized by your machine, and because of the size and the weight of that hoop itself. Yeah. It actually slows the machine down for you so that it makes sure that you're getting perfect stitch outs every time. And I love that because I don't have to remember it.
I think sometimes it freaks people out the first time they use it because they're like, why is my speed slow and why is it grayed out? And it's all, again, your machine is helping you to make sure that you don't do anything that's going to harm it.
Absolutely.
Or damage anything.
Now, another feature that's on the Solaris family machines, we introduced on the Solaris family machines, that has expanded as we go up to the Radiance, is we actually introduced what's called long stitch designs.
Yeah, I was going to grab your long.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I actually got really into and I really loved, because if you guys think our age, things that we played with as kids were things like the spirograph.
Yep.
Or whenever we used to do the nail head string art, right? And that's kind of what this is. It breaks all of the rules of embroidery because, as you know, most of the time we tell you not to do long floats on embroidery. Usually it's 10 millimeters or less. Some of these are up to 30. So these are not obviously things I'm going to put on a garment that I'm going to wash a lot or wear a lot.
Right.
But I did it on wood.
Yeah, and people always look at this and go, oh my gosh, I didn't know that you could embroider through wood. Well, it's actually not embroidered all the way through. You actually just did it on a thin sheet of...
It is. It's actually on a veneer, and then the veneer is actually stitched down. So you can actually stitch on wood veneer.
And then attach it.
Don't try to stitch through the actual box.
Yes.
But and that's done
recommended for your machine.
Yeah, and that's done with metallic thread. So you have a few of those designs on the Solaris family of machines, but then whenever we go up to the Radiance, that category almost doubled in size.
Yeah. So that's a really fun category and a lot of things you can do.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we've added to this,
the big one.
Oh yeah, picture play. You guys can tell that we're like brain overload because there's so much on it. But picture play is one of my favorite things that's on this, and that's because this is actually a digitizing feature built into your machine. So what is picture play? Picture play is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to take a photograph or artwork, either one, and you're going to send that into your machine. You can do that via USB, or here's where that app comes in really handy. You can use the IQ Intuition Positioning app, and it'll let you actually wirelessly send artwork. So think about it. You're on your phone all the time. You can just screenshot an image and send it right over to your machine, right? Yes. And what this does is it turns your design into stitch outs. Now, this is actually done using IQ. So this is not, this one actually is picture play. But you could do this with IQ before, but it would be a little bit more Andy Warhol pop art looking, right?
You don't get the definition that you would get with picture play.
With picture play, it looks more photorealistic. Now, I think you probably have one of my favorite ones.
The hamburger.
The hamburger. I love the hamburger. This one I stitched out. This is, now I'm going to I'll throw this out there just because, but don't get mad at me but this is something that I actually just used AI and said, show me a picture of a juicy cheeseburger. This is what it threw out. I took that, put it into the machine, stitched this out, and love it. And I think it looks so incredibly realistic.
Oh, it's crazy. We always say it's so crazy, even how the little seeds, sesame seeds, start to pop out on that. Yeah. It's amazing.
And this is only on the Radiance. We should say this is only on the Radiance.
Correct.
But you don't have to do just pictures, right? This is, anybody who knows me knows that I'm a dog person. Actually, I think all of us in here that you've met so far are dog people, and we all have dogs. Yes. And this is Mango. But what I did was I cartooned her first.
Correct.
And then brought her in and stitched her out.
Yeah, and then this was actually something that you purchased.
It was off Etsy,
you can go to Etsy or different places and you can actually purchase different designs. And the thing that we love about this is the fact that, sometimes it's hard to take things that kind of have a watercolor look to them and turn them into embroidery, even if you were to send it to a digitizer or try to digitize it yourself, like in palette software. So having picture play is awesome because you can take those images in and it gives it that really cool list. And the way it stitches is so different than any other designs I've ever seen stitched, because you might start looking at it and go, this doesn't look right, or I need to change the colors and things like that. And you really don't, because it's smart enough to know that as it layers colors, it's going to give you a really cool result. But you have a lot of controls in picture play and a lot of things like that you can do to it. And then I love this one too. This is again in some of our artwork that was purchased, and then you added some text to it.
On top of it. Yeah. And I should say too that you have control in this, and you look at it and you're like, there's thousands of colors in here. How long does it take to stitch? I'm not going to lie, it does take a long time to stitch, but I'll give you for instance, the hamburger has 10 colors in it. That's it. It looks like there's a whole lot more colors than that, but because of that specialty stitch that we have, it actually makes it look like it's blending the thread colors and all. And so I really love the fact that I don't have to keep changing, because you finish the entire color before you move to the next. So if it has 10 colors in it, it's 10 thread changes. And I love that. I should say this is Elena. This is Linda's daughter. So give her a little credit there. So
yeah. And the other thing too is that we've even seen some people do some really incredible things when it comes to picture play. One of our retailer Sewabilities out in Las Vegas, they actually made a tile scene using the picture play, and it's amazing.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
It's fun to see what everyone creates.
And I think as you see the technology on picture play continue to expand, because it will, you'll see more and more creativity thrown into it, where people are doing some really unique things. The nice thing about it is that with picture play, it's just a feature on the machine. It's just it's like another tool. Once you actually create the picture play, all of your editing tools are still available. So adding in that thing like Happy Easter on the bunny, I did not have to go out, stitch the picture play, then come back in and add the text. I just added the text to the picture play. So it's all in one.
Right. And there's also a lot of fun with it too, as far as like you can bring your photograph in that you have, and you can just have that go through the picture play process and things like that, and get a result. But then there's also some styles that are also included in there. There's like 12 styles total, or 10 additional.
There's 10 additional art styles. There's a custom style, and there's the original style. So you got 12 total, but there's some really cool ones. There's like neon and pop art, and there's one that I really love that's kind of like the Musha paintings. It's kind of that umber colors and stuff. But so much to play with there, and so much fun to have.
Yeah, and I think we haven't even tapped into all of the things that we can do with that. So it'd be it's a lot of fun.
But that's a feature, like we said, that's only on the Radiance. Can you do picture play type stuff on other machines? Yeah, but you're going to have palette software, and you're going to have to do what's called a photo stitch. And which is the same thing, just done on software as opposed to being done on
And I
machine.
love that, because I think for some people, software is a little scary from time to time, or you hear software and you think, oh my gosh, I have to be a digitizer. Well, picture play, there's controls in it, but having it built into the machine, it makes it so easy to be able to get those results.
So let's talk really quick about some of the things that some of our quilters might really like, such as the fact that when we first introduced the Destiny, we introduced auto stipple, right? So we have auto stipple in this. What does that mean? That means I can pull up a design, and then from that design, once it's on the screen, I can literally just tell the machine, hey, stipple around this design into a certain size, and let's stitch that out. So I've now taken that design, and for all intents and purposes, turned it into a quilt block.
Right.
And
when you do this on the Destiny, one of the things that's kind of changed as you've gone from the Destiny to Solaris, and we'll see this in IQ too, is that if I get a kind of a preview, a screen right here that just kind of shows me an image of what it would look like, but this doesn't really show me the stippling until I touch preview. But you could choose different hoop sizes, the spacing, and things like that. But as we go over to the Solaris, we've added, and this is also on the Radiance, if we choose a design, we've added the ability to also be able to add echo quilting, as well as being able to add decorative fills. And that's where it gets really fun.
Yeah, so you'll see, I just did the quilting there. And here's the really cool thing, like Patty was saying, I don't have a preview button here. I am seeing it in real time. Whatever I touch is there. So now if I go over to echo quilting, give it a second, it's going to change that stippling stitch over to a echo stitch, which is a true echo stitch, which is really cool. And then also I can come over and do my decorative background fills. Now, decorative background fills are a product of IQ Designer, which we'll talk about here in a second. IQ Designer's on all three of these machines, but they're 3 different versions. So on here, I don't have as many IQ Designer decorative fills as I have on the Radiance, and I definitely don't have as many as I have on the Destiny. Only has, I think, 10.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we were.
So we go, I think, 10, 34, 48, if I remember the number.
48, 54.
48, 54.
Oh, and I even lied, 12. So there's more. There's 12. 15.
Can you tell it's been a while?
Yeah.
So, but they're really fun, and it's a great way to go in. And we have people ask us all the time, can I make a quilt block really easily in my machine? Yes, absolutely. Yes. Just a touch of a button.
Well, and one of the things too that we didn't really touch on there, but this is going to come into play too with IQ Designer, but it's also available on the Solaris and the Radiance when you go into the auto stipple, is the fact that you can add custom decorative fills.
Yes.
And that's something that we get all the time, especially when the Destiny was first introduced. When we did have 10, and then we'd introduce more with the next upgrade to the machine, then customers would say, oh my gosh, I want more, I want more, I want more. Well, on the Destiny, you can go out with what you got. You're stuck with what you got unless you have palette software and you go create something in palette. When you go to the Solaris Vision, it was on the Vision or the Upgrade Kit 3, we added this custom fill, custom motif feature that ties in with, again, that part of the embroidery side, but also with IQ Designer. And this is where our design suites came to
Existence,
life.
yeah.
Existence.
It was imagined out of thin air. So we were trying to count right before we started this broadcast how many we have, and I don't know that we got to find
it's over 20.
Yeah, it's over 20 different packages, but each one of these packets have custom fills, custom motifs, and then some of them actually have some couching, which this one has couching in it. And we even have some that are celebrity collections. So the celebrity collections, those are ones that we actually worked with the celebrity person that we're working with. We digitized for them based on their artwork, which was a lot of fun. So lots of fun to have.
Yeah, we have a few that have some embroidery, like the Radiance collection has a little bit of both in it and things like that. But it's really a fun way. I know you and Karen Parker have done an amazing job of helping to create those collections. And they're a lot of fun because it's just, again, a way to expand what you do within the machine. Yeah,
because we always get asked, can I add more stuff to the machine than what's in there? Well, yeah, with that. That's the only way you can add, though. You can't add things to the embroidery categories, but you can add to the decorative background fills and the motifs.
So what do we want to talk about next? Do we want to talk about placement real quick? I know we're kind of
nearing
let's
the
talk
end
about
of placement. So if I was over on the Destiny, I've got a camera.
Yes, you do.
And I love that camera.
And all three machines have the camera. I'm actually going to cancel out of IQ. But all three machines have the camera. And so what does the camera allow you to do? The camera is going to allow you to either take what's in your hoop and scan it with the camera so that you actually see that as your backdrop on your main screen. All three machines do that. And then it also gives you the ability to use the positioning stickers as well as to be able to use like pattern connectivity. So all of those take advantage of the camera capabilities. And that's just on the embroidery side. There's sewing features as well that take advantage of the camera as well.
Now, if we jump up to our Solaris machines, we've added a new piece of hardware to it. We actually have a projector. So the projector on this one actually has a projection field of 3 inches by 5 inches. Again, what can I do with that? I can do all the same things Patty just mentioned that I could do with the camera, but now not only do I have the ability to do those features, but I can actually see them in real time being projected down onto my fabric in my hoop. So it's more of a visual. So if you're a visual person that really likes to be able to see things on your fabric, it's kind of like magic. You get to see it before it stitches. We take that same projector technology and we increased it up in our Radiance. Now that actually has a field of 5 inches by 8 inches. So basically the easiest way to think about this is no projector, a projector that's the size of an index card, and a projector that's the size of half a sheet of paper, right? So we've kind of doubled every time.
Right, and we've also improved things like the background color. So on the Solaris, we had 3 different background colors, so like white, gray, black. As you move up to the Radiance, you get 16 different background colors, which is really helpful when you're doing different colored fabrics and things like that. Sometimes it makes sure your projects look differently because you have that ability. Now with the projector technology also, you have things like the projected needle beam and things like that. So on the Destiny 2, we actually have the W plus foot that had the little needle beam that you could use for placement as well. And as well as they also had the sensor pen that you could use for placement. And then as we move up to the Solaris, because of that projector, it switched it over to a projected, what we call a needle drop position. So you get a little crosshair that shows you where your needle's going to drop.
So one last thing we'll touch on before we leave embroidery, because we do want to talk about IQ and sewing before we run out of time, is the fact that on the embroidery side, your editing tools that are built in these machines are phenomenal. You can do things on these machines that used to be you can only do with software, right? Resizing on all 3 of these machines, we can resize a design up 200%, down 60% with stitch recalculation. What does that mean? It means that it maintains solid density through the design, even if you double or cut the design in half. That's phenomenal. We also have introduced editing tools as we've went up the line. So when we get in here,
love it.
We now have design resequencing. And
that's huge. And I know we say design resequencing, but on the Destiny, if you actually bring a design in, how you bring it in is how it's going to stitch out. So when you're on the Solaris or on the Radiance, if you want to change around the order of how your designs stitch out. Now you can't change the order within a design, but you can change how the designs stitch out. You have stitch resequencing. That's huge to me. I use it all the time.
I do too. And then we also have the Region D Select, which is one of my favorites. If you've ever had a design and you wanted to skip part of it, it used to be that we would do that by using our needle plus minus and just advance past it. But the problem with that is you don't ever know what's underneath it. Right? You could wind up with a hole in your design, things like that. Now with Region Deselect, you can actually just turn off parts of a design and you'll see it on the screen what it looks like.
And so one of the things too that we were talking about as we were kind of going through the machines is the undo button.
Oh yeah.
Little things, but on the Destiny, there is no undo button. When you go up to the Solaris and to the Radiance, you have an undo and a redo button. So as you're editing your designs together, you can undo, redo. Maybe you click the applique key and you didn't mean to touch that. You can just hit undo and it'll undo all of that work. So lots of things. And then real quick, before we jump at IQ, fonts. Just one thing to let you guys know on the Radiance, that's an improvement on the built-in fonts, is number one, I think we've got some really cute built-in fonts. Yeah. But the other thing too is there's actually a font preview screen, which means that I can select a font, tell it that I want to preview it, and it's going to show me all of the numbers, letters, symbols, everything like that that goes with that particular font. Mm-hmm. And then when you go into the font editing, which that continues to improve over every machine we introduce, I feel like we get better and better with our built-in fonts. You also can resize it, and it's resizing a little differently than the Solaris or the Destiny, where now it's a point system, and you can resize up to 4 inches, which is pretty incredible for our built-in fonts. Before, you were kind of limited to about an inch.
I think the biggest one was about 1 3/4 inches was the largest one, but now on the Radiance, every single font goes up to 4 inches, which is amazing.
Except for your
except for the micros, because we do have micro fonts in there.
Yeah. All right.
We could talk forever about embroidery, right? We love these, but let's talk about IQ Designer.
IQ. Okay. So IQ Designer, obviously all three of them have IQ Designer. If you're not familiar with what IQ Designer is, it basically allows you to take artwork or to take shapes, images, things like that, and you can bring them in and you can basically create them, add fills around them, add different line types to them to make your own embroidery.
Absolutely. And here's how it IQ Designer was introduced on the Destiny, right? That was where we first launched it right off the bat. And we kind of joke all the time because Patty and I, when we first started teaching IQ Designer, we always do this is when we were walking uphill barefoot in the snow going to school, right?
Yes.
You had the very, very basic fundamental, and that's still the case. The fundamentals are there, but we don't have a lot of the frill. We don't have a lot of the accessory and the add-on and that kind of stuff. When we move up to the Solaris family, we start getting a lot of that. We start getting a lot of extra things like extra fills, extra motifs, extra selection tools, which is a huge thing. And then when we get up to the Radiance, that's when we're in grad school, right? That's when we have all of the bells and whistles when it comes to IQ Designer. And we also get asked a lot of times, what all can I create with IQ Designer? Well, Patty and I, we're very lucky because we get to teach every day, right? I mean, that's literally what we do for our job. And we did an advanced Solaris class for advanced IQ for the last 3 years. Was it 3?
Yeah.
And some of the projects that we made for that, like we had so much fun doing that. We've made cross-stitch quilts out of squares of paper. We've done freestanding houses. We've done all this other stuff.
Things.
So the possibilities are unlimited. And one of the things you're going to see is that we actually teach you on that because we actually have 2 products that are available for IQ Designer. One is called Mastering Your IQ, which is a book that you can order from your retailer. So if you're interested in seeing what that is, you can go out and talk to them. There's 21 different projects inside of that book, 7 beginner, 7 intermediate, 7 advanced. And then more recently, we actually launched a Mastering Your IQ Designer video series.
Right. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that in a little later in the broadcast. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, again, like you said, some of the things, the selection tool is huge. If you've ever struggled with being able to select your designs, they have improved greatly with the magic wand and being able to actually conform to your shape so you know what size things are. Yeah. It's pretty incredible. And then again, like you said, there's a lot of features with the motif stitches and things like that. You even have abilities now to turn things on or off. You've got a lot of settings features too. Yeah. And the biggest thing we showed you a little bit when we were showing you the auto stipple feature, you do have the ability, it just almost like an advanced IQ because you actually see real time once you have laid out your design and created it. When you touch next to go to the next screen, it actually shows you a real-time preview of it, so you get to really see what it looks like. And then as you make changes, it shows you real-time then on the screen what it looks like. So it's a little less steppy.
And if you think we could talk a long time about embroidery, boy, let us tell you about IQ. We could talk about it for the next 3 days. But we're going to go ahead and switch gears just so we don't leave out sewing and quilting because we're both big quilters too.
Yeah.
And sewers, right?
Right. And these machines are incredibly quiet. They're so easy to use. You know, they feed the fabric amazing. Yeah. So, I mean, we both sew and embroider on them. So, so let's
couple of little features that we'll start off with. Let's talk about our digital dual feed foot. Now, this comes with the machine. And it's probably one of my favorite tools that I have on the sewing side, because this is kind of like a walking foot on steroids, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a big fan of a walking foot, or some people call them hopping feet or things like that, we have those, and they're amazing. We have 3 different types of walking feet that you can get for the machines, but the digital dual feed foot basically surpasses all of those, because when you're talking about a walking foot, it actually loses contact for the minute that it actually lifts and pulls. Whereas a digital dual feed foot, it actually is a conveyor belt driven system. So it never loses contact with the actual fabric. So if you're ever used to seeing like the little creep that happens when you're quilting, things like that, this eliminates
Great for minky, great for quilting. I know you use it for your binding and quilting.
I do.
And there's lots of different soles as well that are available. So there's like couching soles, there's open toe soles.
There's a stitch in the ditch, a 1/4 inch sole.
Piecing sole. So there's a lot of soles too that can be added to that foot as well.
But this foot now has actually went on a diet. So in the Destiny, you actually got the regular digital dual feed. Whenever we get up to the Solaris family of machines and the Radiance machine, you're going to have the compact digital dual feed. The difference between these 2 feet are, when we're looking at the compact, it actually sits up higher. There's no kind of obstruction underneath the back of the digital dual feed itself. So if you've ever had an instance where the weight of this kind of impeded the flow of the fabric, with the digital dual feed in the compact form, it does not do that. And the compact comes with both the Solaris and the Radiance.
And if you're somebody who has a Destiny and you upgrade to the Radiance, those soles are all still interchangeable. So though none of that changed at all. It's just the diet that it went on.
I love these.
Yeah. So this is another change too. Now we did one other foot that did kind of change or evolve over the course of time is the end foot, which the end foot is the foot that's traditionally used for your monogramming or your character stitches. So it's got a little groove in the back that allows those stitches to go through. So that has a little bit different as an N versus an N plus. But the biggest difference from the Destiny to the Solaris and Radiance is the A foot, which is the buttonhole foot. So this is the A foot for the Destiny. This is the A plus foot that was with the Solaris and with the Radiance. So this is really cool. This one, you have a little lever that you pull down, and that's what connects with the foot to tell it what size of a buttonhole you want. This one does it with magic.
It does.
So it actually takes advantage of the camera, and it uses these 3 little black dots on the front of the foot to be able to determine what the size of your buttonhole is, so you don't have a little lever to push down. And now with the Radiance, we even have a buttonhole preview that helps you to keep things nice and lined up and takes advantage of the projector. It's another projector tool as well.
Yeah, so the A plus foot is on both the Solaris and the Radiance machines. But one feature that's on the sewing side that is only on the Radiance, and this is probably just, I mean, this to me has been so much fun to play with, but this is what's called our stitch sync foot. Now our stitch sync feet, this is quilt regulation, right? Stitch regulation. So this is actually the stitch sync foot itself, and then it comes with 3 different interchangeable soles. So I have an echo foot sole, I have a closed toe, and I have an open toe. And the really cool thing about this is they're literally plug and play. So you just stick them in. If I want to eject them, there's a little ejection button on the back. I switch it out. I can do that while this foot is actually on the machine itself.
And I love it because you put the foot on, and once you plug it into the back of the machine, just like you would with your digital dual feed foot, it actually knows it, and it changes the screen so that it puts you into that stitch regulation mode.
It really does.
So you still do have the ability to easily drop your feed dogs on all 3 of the machines just with the press of a button, and they do all come with the 3 CEO, the close, the echo, the open toe standard feet too as well for free motion quilting.
And then one last thing we'll talk about before we flip this back over to Linda is the fact that with the Solaris family machines, we introduced tapering stitches. So if you look at the jacket behind me over here on the side, you'll see the flowers on the back of the yoke there. That is actually all done on the sewing side. That is not embroidery. It is tapering stitches. What tapering stitches are is it allows us to put angled stitches at the beginning and the end of several different stitches. There's 20 different stitches that you can choose from, and then you can actually change and put those entry angles and ending angles on those. Now you can do this on the Destiny by using the width control on your stitching, but it's more manual. If I do it over on the Radiance and the Radiance and the Solaris, they are actually built in. Now you've heard us talking about the Radiance, the Destiny, and the Solaris. One thing that I do want to point out, and we want to make sure everybody knows, is the Radiance is the machine that is in our lineup right now.
Correct.
The Destiny and the Solaris family of machines have officially retired. They're out enjoying their retirement right now.
This is mine that's been sitting in my sewing room.
Yeah, we still love these machines. We still support these machines. They're still wonderful, wonderful machines. no shame to it. If you're like in love with that machine, that's wonderful. Like we said, we still have them as well. We still love them as well, but we really do hope that you're seeing the difference as we move up through those machines as to what's available, what the technology is doing, and what kind of creativity you're going to have whenever you move up in that lineup.
Yeah, and I'm sure we've glossed over a few things too that maybe we didn't catch on our list. So make sure that when you are talking to your retailer or you're looking online, be sure to check out all those features and things like that.
It's a lot to talk about.
It is a lot to talk about. We're like speeding.
Yeah.
So, all right, Linda, we're ready to pass it back over to you?
Yeah, that sounds great. So Patty and Mike, you did a fantastic job going over the differences between the product, but I have to tell you that overwhelmingly, I am really in love with what the Radiance can do. You know, for me, I think that having a machine has really helped me become a better sewist, and all of the features on the Baby Lock Radiance are ones that are going to grow with you forever. So I have to tell you that this is the absolute best time. If you were looking for the offer to help you become a new Radiance owner, we have it. And so Patty and Mike, join me on set. We're going to go over some of the parts that are the bundle. And so these are some of these items we've had ever since we launched the Radiance. And I think that it's a good idea to be able to see what's coming with this fabulous machine. Well, in addition to the product, your great retailer, we also have this amazing Madeira thread chest. So I have to tell you, there is no such thing as too much thread. And there is no such thing as too much beautiful thread.
And I love the pretty color because it matches the Radiance.
Yes. And so there are 3 different trays in every single color. You know, for me, when I'm stitching out the designs that are built in the machine, it's all the shading that makes a design look fantastic. And so this box is going to set you up for success. And that is a part of the Radiance offer today. Next, we have this beautiful cover. This is quilted black. It looks beautiful with an embroidery of the Baby Lock logo on it. So I don't know about you, but like I never cover my machine.
Maybe when you go on vacation.
Okay, maybe I should cover it before I leave.
If you don't take your machine to the spa while you're on vacation.
Yeah, that could be it. So like I wouldn't use this very often because I never stop sewing. Even when I'm done at work, I go home.
If you take it into the store,
if you take it to a store
class or something like that.
Absolutely. So I love that. And then you got, Mike, you were showing off the frames. And so this is another one that comes with the machine.
This is, so this is the 5x7. And this is that other version that we were talking about over on the set when we were there. This is the flat magnet. So the ones that we were showing were actually V magnets, which are wonderful for the quilting side because they really hold on to that fabric and all. But so does this one. But these are flat magnets. So these actually don't take up the height that the angled magnets do. But I love this one. I use it just as much as I use the angle one. But this is the 5x7 and it comes in your bundle. And you guys are going to love this.
Yeah.
And that's a great hoop size.
I use it all the time.
I know.
I've really, ever since I brought one home, I thought to myself, like, I can't believe that I haven't been using a magnetic frame for all my projects. And that V frame system and that fact that you've got such a large embroidery hoop on the Radiance, that support in the back, those hoops are a little bit heavy. And so you really need that full support. So maybe the reason why maybe the reason why you haven't been really successful with large embroidery is you don't have the Radiance with that amazing hooping system. So Zandra Shaw, if she's watching this broadcast, I know that she said that she was going to join us. She is the biggest proponent of getting the Radiance, if for no other reason, that large embroidery frame and the way that it locks in. So many people have had times where they're doing a large embroidery design. Just because you can do the design within that frame set doesn't mean it's going to turn out perfectly. The hooping system for the Radiance, it's a game changer.
Well, a lot of her techniques too, she's taking that hoop on and off the machine. So that really is
makes a big difference.
Right?
No doubt. So she would know because all she does is embroider. Another thing that comes with it, and Mike, you talked about this set yourself. This is the Radiance collection, and it has not only some beautiful embroidery designs in it, it also has some of those fill designs that you'll be able to use easily, expand your machine's capability. The last thing that we're going to talk about here really quickly is this certificate that comes with your bundle. Patty, you want to talk about this?
Yeah. So on the certificate, there's a link for where you can go to sign up for a class. It's our Radiance 101 class. Now, this was something that we taught live in the spring of 2025, but we've recorded those classes, and all those classes are available out on the landing page. So once you go in and you register for that, we'll give you access to that landing page, and you get access to those videos forever.
Yeah, and we broke that down for you guys just so because they are really long classes. We know that it's well over 40 hours, I think, of video that you have on there. So each one is like 6 hours long. but we did a basic embroidery, we did a basic IQ designer, we did an advanced embroidery, advanced IQ designer, we did positioning, and then we did quilting and sewing. So they're broken up into sections. So if you're new to like IQ designer, start with basic IQ, get comfortable with that, and then move on and look at the advanced IQ. So that's out there, and you do have access forever.
And we both are huge proponents of, once we show you something, it's like, how do you use it? So we actually included in each of those classes, there's a project. So you get full written instructions as well as video instructions from us live and we record it now through those classes, but you have access to all of that. And again, you have it forever.
You have it forever.
So the lifetime of your machine.
And I have to tell you, Patty, that having, been a part of that broadcast, just kind of like helping facilitate, I would tell you guys that when you own that series, it's like getting a consumer getaway. We just launched our Radiance Getaway schedule this year. For any of you that came to a Destiny or Solaris, you know how important it was to be able to get that personalized instruction directly from the experts at Baby Lock. Well, this is like getting a recorded getaway. But I have to tell you that this is not it. We have pulled out all the stops, and without sounding too much like an infomercial, I am so excited about the other items that we have just for a limited time. So now through January 31st, and you have to be a part of our invitation only event, and all of you will be receiving, as soon as this broadcast is over, an email which is going to have a certificate that's going to allow you not only to get this bundle, but we've got a couple other things. Mike, what's the first item we have?
So you heard Patty and I talk a little bit about, if you wanted to learn IQ Designer, that we had two different products that are available. One is a book that you can purchase from your retailer. The other is the video series that we just launched. Well, you're going to get that video series for free when you purchase your machine today. So this is actually, we've got the physical product here. You're not going to get a physical product. You will actually get an email that gives you access to the program. This again is multiple hours of video.
Yeah, 23 hours.
27.
And
designs.
Mike and Patty and Stephanie Struckman were the ones that did all of the recording on this. Again, it's available to you to be able to watch as you are growing in your IQ skills. I think one of the reasons.
And again, you get access to forever.
Yeah, access forever. There's a project involved, so you're learning a skill set at the same time. I honestly feel like these machines can do so much. Buy a machine that will grow with you, and I will tell you, you will become a version of your sewing self that you never thought was possible. But that's not all. We've saved the absolute best for last. And this is so big, Mike, that I think that it is going to take you to put it up here on the table. You guys, with the trolley system that we have for both the Solaris and the Destiny, we had an embroidery unit case that your new Radiance could fit in, but guess what? You need a different unit to be able to carry your embroidery arm, and you also need something else to carry those massive embroidery hoops, and this is a part of our package for a limited time. This is an amazing add-on. Not only does it have this padded unit where you can put stabilizer, some of your other accessories. So when you're traveling to your daughter's house or your best friend's house and you're going to be making magic there, you can bring your embroidery unit.
And it has an easy, convenient handle too, so that you've got little wheels on it. So you can
raise it and roll it.
Yep.
It's outstanding.
Yes.
I am really excited about that. And then add that to our special financing offer that's available through the end of January. This is the time to talk to your Baby Lock retailer about trading in your existing machine, or maybe you just want to have two machines at home. This is the time to buy this product because, again, it only goes through January 31st. This is the best that we've ever had to offer. We'll never be able to top this. I hope you've enjoyed the broadcast and you've stuck around long enough that it's time to do our next drawing. So Julie gets... is going to go home with one lucky winner. So let's do the drawing. I know you pulled from the names of the people that registered, correct?
Yep.
Okay, very good.
So
Here we go.
Prize winner for the R65
It's me.
No, it's right.
Susan Spolansky.
Yay!
Great job, Susan. Fantastic. Well, I have to tell you that we are so excited that you guys joined us for this. I hope you enjoyed it too. You joined us for this special broadcast. We do believe that you are VIPs because you've already shown how much you love Baby Lock because you've taken home one of our top of line machines. But I have to tell you that there is another world out there of something even more fun. do those picture play designs. You're going to have a blast with your family, and we'll see you on the Facebook group for your new Radiance machine purchase to support you. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
All right, bye everybody.